All right, greetings friends. I hope you're having a magical day wherever you are and whenever it is for you. Today I am in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm going to talk about how much it costs to live here. So Melbourne has been named the world's most livable city, and I do think it is incredibly livable. If you ask me if it's expensive or not, I would usually say yes, but I sat down today and I, counted like exactly how much I pay for rent, food, for transportation, the gym, for insurance, and my phone bill. And then I compare that with how much I have to work in order to make ends meet here. And it's actually, I'm actually kind of surprised. I do keep track of my finances and I do kind of define that when I moved here. But it was just so interesting to really look at it the way that I'm presenting it to you today. So today I'm going to share with you my monthly expenses, how much I have to pay in order to live here in Melbourne. And then at the end, I'll kind of sum it up and talk about how much I have to work in order to make ends meet. And I would love to know what you think, if you think it's super expensive or super cheap, or how it compares to where you're at. And yeah, so just a little background if you don't know me or who I am or what I'm doing here. My name is Brittany. I'm an American living in Australia on a work and holiday visa. I first moved here in December of 2017 to be with my boyfriend who's from Italy. And we lived in Melbourne for about 5 or 6 months. And then we left, went to Queensland, traveled a bit, and then we came back to Melbourne in January of this year. It is now June, the end of June. So I think I've been here approximately 10, 11 months, almost a year out of the past year and a half that I've been, traveling. And that's who I am and that's what I'm doing here. Now let's talk about the biggest expense first, and that's going to be rent. Now, I'm going to give all of these numbers in Australian dollars, and then I'll just kind of add how much it is in US dollars, because I imagine most of my viewers are Americans. Now, when I first moved to Melbourne the first time, I was living in St. Kilda, which is a suburb kind of close to the beach near Melbourne. And it's just like such a backpacker place to go. I feel like so many backpackers flock there, and it's not a bad place. However, even though I was paying the same in rent there that I am here in North Melbourne, which is more in the city, I am getting so much more for my money here. I'm not exactly sure why that's the case, but my advice to any backpacker, if you're thinking about going to St. Kilda, reconsider if you're trying to save money or just have an easier lifestyle. It's very, I don't know. It's kind of expensive there, I would say. All right, so right now I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in North Melbourne, and it's literally like 2-minute walk from the free tram zone in the city. I share the room with my boyfriend, and there's another roommate in the other room. It's a pretty nice place. We have I feel like the most luxurious thing about this apartment is that we have air conditioning, and none of our apartments in St. Kilda had air conditioning. I don't know very many people who have air conditioning, so it's not a standard thing to have AC here. So it was very, very fortunate when we discovered that we had AC in this apartment. So Gab and I are here casually, so we didn't sign a lease, and we just found this apartment through Facebook. That's just kind of how you do it if you're a backpacker. Just like get on Facebook, find some place, and then you pay fortnightly for your rent. So I'm going to give a monthly figure, but it's really a 4-week figure, like two fortnights. Total, Gab and I spent $1,360 for rent, and that's split between us. So I pay $680 in rent. This is Australian, and I'm actually quite happy with that. I was paying approximately the same amount in St. Kilda, but we had to share with a lot of people, and there wasn't AC, and it wasn't the nicest apartment. So yeah, so that's how much we pay in rent. All right, so after rent, we need to talk about the next major expense, and that is food, or how much we eat per week. So Gab and I both work in hospitality. So we're working in like restaurants or cafes. Sometimes I do catering and stuff like that. So we both kind of get free food from work, whether or not we're supposed to. We end up getting free food. That helps cut expenses a lot. For the first couple months of us being in Melbourne this round, Gab actually had 2 jobs. So he wasn't even home often enough to eat at home. So it was really mostly me that was buying the groceries and consuming the groceries. So even though our grocery bill varies week to week, I pretty much treated it like a fixed expense and just transferred $50 a week into our joint account every week, and just use our joint card to buy groceries, because I would also end up buying stuff for the apartment like paper towels, trash bags, detergent, and things like that. So that's that number, $50 a week. I don't know if that's a lot or a little. It seems about right. Like we're just trying to, I'm just trying to make sure we always have eggs and milk and peanut butter, fruit and veg. stuff like that. And then sometimes I'll buy something nice like berries or whipped cream. I could definitely go lower for those groceries, but you know, nutrition is something I value. And I'm not always going to automatically go cheaper on that. I do consider myself to be a frugal person overall, but I think especially with nutrition and that, especially how that directly impacts my physical health, I am going to spend a little more money on getting plant milk, real peanut butter, not sugary peanut butter, cage-free eggs, because I want to, because you vote with your dollars. Could be more or less week to week. I don't always spend the full $50, but that just kind of, that's enough to get me by every week. And then of course, if Gab's gonna eat home more, like say he's like off a couple more days during the week, he'll like transfer like 20 to 30 bucks as well. But for me, $50 covers it. So my next expense is toiletries, and that's just like stuff that I buy at a pharmacy, like contact solution or tampons or like face washers, stuff like that. And I don't have like, that's not a fixed expense, but I did take like an average out of the months that I've been here, and it comes out to be about 20 per week. And sometimes that also goes in the joint account if I'm using the card to buy like shampoo or body wash or toothpaste. Next up is transportation, and this is another very variable expense because for the first part of the year, I was working for a food truck that had festivals like outside of Melbourne, so I'd have to take the train every weekend, and that adds up. And then towards the end, you know, it started raining a little bit, or I'd started drinking after work and I'd want to get an Uber, or sometimes I would just want to take a trip out to go shopping or something like that, and I would take the tram then. Yeah, so it varied a lot. Like it was obviously a lot more when I was traveling for the food truck, and you know the Uber bills add up as well, but it comes out to be approximately $80 a month for transportation. And I do have a bike as well, so I mostly bike everywhere. I maybe take, you know, public transport or even Uber once or twice a week, and that doesn't mean I spend, you know, $20 every week. That was just like the average of the months that I've been here, and that includes like, you know, taking the train a lot in the beginning of the year. All right, next is my phone bill. So I forgot to mention, but our apartment includes internet and all of our bills as well. My phone bill, I'm with Telstra, and I've read that they have the best coverage, and they do have great coverage where I'm going in Queensland as well. I have like a prepaid data plan, so like every month I just like log onto the app and say how much data I want that month. I've been recharging it for $40 every month, and that's actually for five weeks, so it's a little bit cheaper than $40. And that includes I'm not even sure, I think at least 10 gigabytes, maybe 15 gigabytes of data. And there were so many bonuses when I signed up, and if you like recharge your phone before your 35 days is up, you get like an extra bonus or something like that. And then any data that you don't use that month also just gets rolled over to the next month, so you end up having like a little data bank. And I have like, I think 140 gigabytes of data in my data bank. So I feel like I'm paying $40 for unlimited data. Like I'm never gonna use that. I don't think I'm ever gonna use that much. So $40 a month for phone, I guess unlimited calls, I'm never gonna use those minutes either, and practically unlimited data. All right, next up is health insurance, and that's pretty straightforward. I found a short-term visitor plan with Bupa, which is just an insurance company here in Australia, and I pay $50 a month for that. I think it really just covers me if I have to go to the hospital, and it's one of those things that it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It doesn't cover anything like my contact lens prescription or my birth control, and that's fine because those are actually pretty cheap as well. So just as a side note, for my birth control, I'm on this like 3-month pill pack, and it's the same, it's called Seasonique. In America, I was paying $240 for a 3-month pack of the birth control, and the exact same, a 3-month supply of Seasonique, the exact same brand and dosage in Australia is 70 Australian dollars, which is like 50 US dollars. So that's like a fifth of the price, which to me is so crazy. I don't know. I don't like, how does that work? I don't mind, I guess, paying out of pocket for something like that because it's so cheap to me. Although I should say that even though birth control is cheaper, toiletries are more expensive. Like if you go to the pharmacy, like pain reliever or like tampons, penny liners, contact solution, chapstick, like all that stuff is more expensive here. So I guess it kind of evens out in the end. All right, and my last regular expense is my gym membership, and that is just $70 a month. It's just a pretty standard gym that has all the stuff that I need. You know, it could be nicer, it could be open more hours, there could be, you know, different classes, but for $70. That's pretty good, and it's like 5 minutes away, and that's probably the best part about that gym. And that is it for all of my regular expenses. Now, again, this is the bare minimum, like bare essentials, bare necessities. I'm not including anything about like going out or eating out or going to dance classes. I did make a blog post for this video, so if you'd like to see how much it costs to like get a coffee or a boba tea or go out for dinner, go to a movie, be sure to check out that blog post. It'll be linked in the description below. But let's tally up how much I spend per month. So I pay $680 for rent, $220 for groceries and toiletries, $85 for transportation, $40 for my phone, $50 for health insurance, $70 for the gym, which comes to a total of 1,145 Australian dollars per month. In US dollars, as of June 29, 2019, that is just about $800 per month to live here. So yeah, what do you think? I think that's pretty good, especially considering like I don't need a car to get around. Public transportation is so good, and or it's pretty bikeable around Melbourne. The rent is very flexible because you pay fortnightly and you don't have to sign a lease, or you're not locked into anything like that. It's kind of backpacker friendly too. Like people, know that there are transient workers here in Melbourne or in Australia, so it's a thing. It's hard for me to compare because I've never lived like on my own in America. Like moving out to Australia was the first time I was essentially like on my own and responsible for all of my bills. So I guess that's a good number. What I really want to share with you, and I think this is going to be the coolest part, is how much I have to work to make ends meet. So minimum wage in Australia, I think, is like 18 or 19 Australian dollars. On average, between all my different jobs that I've had, I'm getting about $20 an hour. It ranges from like 20 to 25, but like we'll just say 20 because with taxes and everything, it's just easier to say 20. So making $20 an hour and needing to pay 1,145 Australian dollars a month to live here means I only have to work 57 point something hours a month, which comes down, and we'll just round that up to 60 and divide that by 4. That's 15 hours a week of work in order to live here in Melbourne and have food, have a phone, be able to go to the gym, and be able to get around to my jobs or even take an Uber if I wanted to. I think it's crazy that I can live here working only 15 hours a week at like a entry-ish level job. And I know that would not work back home in America. So for one, the minimum wage is a lot less. Even if you convert that $20 Australian to US dollars, like that's way more than the $8 or $9 an hour that's minimum wage in Florida. And same thing, like in Florida, especially where I live, like you really need a car to get around, and that's just like an extra expense I don't have here in Melbourne, and I don't need a car to get around, and I still have a pretty good quality of life here. Yeah, I'm so thankful to be here, and I'm so thankful that I only need to work 15 hours a week to live. Obviously, I work more because like that 15 hours a week, that just like covers everything. Like there's $0 left over after that. Like I only need to work 15 to survive here. And that's crazy to me. To me, that makes it super, super livable because you're obviously going to find a job that's for more than 15 hours a week. So thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. Please tell me how this compares to where you live. If it's what you thought when you thought about Australia, because I know I've said it's really expensive, but when you look at everything, it's actually quite livable anyway. And yeah, I want to know what you think. And thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you'll subscribe for more and have a happier, healthier, and more magical day. Bye-bye.